Welcome
Good
back.
evening. Big one.
I'm so excited.
Season 2, episode 2.
Episode 2. We've had a good start to season 2.
We've had some good guests.
I know.
Duco active last week. Fucking comfy as clothes.
That was awesome. Did you do the free balling?
No, not yet. I
Not
will
yet.
free ball in these velvety, smooth tracksuits. Tell you what.
You'll have to get
Who are
back
these
to us.
guys? You got to tell me who you're talking about here. Who are these?
We've got a clothing brand called Duco Active.
Got it.
This is Gabriel, everyone. Gabriel Rossi.
Thank you
Supposed to
so
wait
much.
till you in trade, but these guys were talking shit, so I thought I better say something.
Yeah.
Class. How are you?
I'm all right, man. Yeah, thanks for having me too. First,
Thank you so much for coming down.
People, I appreciate it. Like people think I got an ego, and I do. I got one,
Good. Have to.
but no, I'm grateful when people come to me and say we'd like you on. I'm always honoured. And I very rarely say no.
Yep.
Because I think it's good to be recognised. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man. So yeah, thanks for having me, guys. This is so. Tell me about. I mean, I know you're interviewing me, but tell me about what you guys are trying to do here with all this. What's it called? The European mindset.
That's the one. Yeah.
Right.
So
The European mindset means that you'd all be dole bludgers and you wouldn't fucking be doing shit.
well, basically, but
No,
that's what we're trying to
hang
portray.
on. Hard working. He's a concreter, which
No,
is
no.
very
No,
European.
no. I've been to Europe. Trust me, it's the Australian, Italian, or Australian Greek mindset. That's what you. Maybe you should rename it.
Anglo-Italian mindset.
Because all the Europeans in Europe, they're lazy fucks.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
The ones that came over here that thought, fuck, because they could see when they got here, like, let's be honest, I'm not going to put it out there for my Australian friends out there, but you guys know, I'll tell you the quick story.
Do it.
My mum got her when we first moved to Melbourne, right? So I wasn't born in Melbourne. I was born in a place called Orbost, right? Which is 4 hours east of Melbourne, real Hicksville, right?
Yep.
I got sick when I was about 6 months old. Like when they say gastro, like to the point where they thought I were going to lose me, right? Really bad.
Wow.
So they rushed me to the hospital, and when I say rushed me to the hospital, Fairfield, 3 hours drive. Well, my dad drove it in 3 hours when it's a 4.5 hour drive.
Yeah.
Anyway, cut a long story short, they were that worried. They thought, no, we've got to move to Melbourne. We can't risk this happening again. So I was only one.
Yeah.
When we came to, so we moved to Glenroy. That's where we grew up. That's where I grew up.
Beautiful.
Oh.
Yeah, it's Turkishville now, but that's another story.
That used to be Chocoville, though. Yeah.
More Faulkner.
Okay, yep.
Faulkner, the neighbouring suburb, I think at one point was like 60-70% Italian.
Okay.
Now it's 50% Lebo, but that's another story. Anyway,
My
mate, I know the demographics, mate. It's shifted.
The big shift.
But anyway, so Mum gets a job in a factory called Gadsden. What's Gadsden
Okay.
these days? Visi, guys. It's Visi. It's
Yeah.
one of the earlier.
The recycling
So,
plant.
so Mum was working on the factory floor with basically Aussies,
Yep.
right? And they were nice enough to her, don't get me wrong, although when she introduced themselves to her, that was interesting. They're like, what's your name? And she goes, Fortunata. And they go, sorry, what? They go, Fortunata. They go, what? She goes, Fortunata. They looked at each other and they said, we're going to call you Frida. All right, that's what happened.
There you go.
Anyway,
And that stuck?
mate, she was called Frida all my childhood.
That's
by
excellent.
all her workmates.
Beautiful.
Anyway, so one day, she's been there a little while now, yeah, working on the factory floor with these other people, and she actually got pulled into the office, the boss, the supervisor, whatever. Frida, we need to talk to you. And she goes, what's wrong? Is there a problem? Oh, no. We just need you to slow down a bit when you're working, like on the thing. She goes, what do you mean? She goes, well, just you're working a bit too quickly. She goes, oh, that's not good. Am I making a lot of mistakes? She goes, no, actually, your work's perfect, but it's just that the other girls can't keep up.
Don't
with
raise the standard.
it. And my mum being my mum, yeah, turned around. She goes, maybe you should make them work faster, hey?
I love it.
That's my. Do you know
Oh
my mum
my
ended up
goodness.
becoming like a union shop steward and everything? Oh, she was full
Oh,
on.
really?
Oh, yeah. Mum was no shrinking violet, mate. She was brilliant.
Who
So
was she a shop steward for? Which union?
Oh, Jesus.
Do you remember?
Well, I remember Mum worked her last she worked for a company in Campbellfield called Crane Packaging. They made tubes. So that's where she was the shop steward for.
Okay.
So whatever that sort of the packaging industry, whatever union, I don't know if it was metalwork because they used to make metal tubes. Could have been a metalworkers.
Might have been the AMWU. The
Could have been.
manufacturing.
Could have well been. But yeah, she was.
We hold shop stewards very highly because they look out for us at work. So
100%. What do you guys do for work, man?
So I'm a concreter.
Yep.
And George is a sparky.
Nutrition.
So
Yeah, but at the same time, as good as unions can be, we've seen some pretty shoddy unionism
Yep.
over the last two years or so.
yep.
Certain politician has bought them out, and they've taken the money.
Do you want to briefly get into that?
We can.
Can we? Because I think we've got the same views on this.
Mate, I know all about Setka, so don't worry about that.
Yep.
I can tell you everything about him. I can tell you everything. Very politically motivated, so I don't want to bore you viewers.
Can we maybe, just for the sake of the podcast, can we keep off the topic of the CFMEU just for that? Just because we're
Sure.
under that union. I just
I'm
kind of
not. Got the
fuck it. You know what? Fuck it. Let's just go.
No, I'm not going to go into detail, but you know perfectly well that something wrong was there.
Of course.
I'm not going to. You know what? As much as I've got very strong views and very political, I'm not going to, mate. I'm not here to piss people off on half truths.
Yep.
I know what I've heard. Do I know it's true? I don't know. But the reality is that clearly, when it came to the mandates being introduced, that Dan got to the unions, and basically the unions weren't going to stand by any worker who refused the jab.
Yeah.
And they said it was all under the guise of, public health. And I guess you could argue in favour of that. But me personally, I find that very hard to accept, that any worker, if they're paying their dues to a union who can't get representation because of a situation like a forced injection, I have a problem with that.
Do you not think it's more of a their hands are tied sort of matter?
Mate, I can look anyone in the eye and tell you the following. Any rules that the government's put in place, anything called a mandate, is not a law.
No, I know that. It's like those fines that you used to cop.
Yeah,
if you were travelling, they'll give it to you and you don't have to pay
right.
it. Yeah.
So without trying to be too much of a hard ass, and like I said, I'm supposed to be a comedian, I'm getting all serious here. But the reality is though, that if every employer out there turned around and said to the government, you know what, thanks but no thanks, it would have been the end of it. And that's all there is to it. And therefore, the unions could have at least maybe circumvented the notion of people losing their job over this.
Yeah.
They could have.
Cashed up though. They were cashed up for it.
Maybe.
It's all yes men.
Oh,
That's
the massive problem in this situation is nobody knew what was going on, and that's
well, in the early days, I get it, but you got to understand that those vaccine mandates weren't brought in for about a year.
Correct. Yeah.
Right. So by that stage, I'm not saying that we were fully around it. We certainly didn't know how good or bad the vaccines were going to be at that stage. So I'll accept that. But we certainly had enough information to know that people weren't going outside to have a fucking piss and getting COVID and dying.
Yeah.
Just like that.
Yeah.
I mean, and we knew by that stage that the majority of the people that were unfortunately succumbing to it weren't healthy people or weren't young, fit, healthy. I mean, there's exceptions. There's always going to be a few, but by and large, I mean, I can tell you now, figures, man, 89% of the deaths in Victoria are over 70 years of age.
Yeah.
89%. So make of that what you will.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's have a laugh now.
Can we talk a little bit about you growing up in Melbourne?
100%.
Family.
What nationality are you?
Italian family, Calabrese for the Italians listening.
Fucking
Because look, like most Italian boys, I was obviously very, very close to Mum being the centre of my little universe. And here's the part that you're going to find even funnier about my mum, right? So yeah, she was very outspoken, very in your face.
Yep.
But get this, right? When one week she went to work and it was a Monday and during footy season, and she noticed they're all talking about this thing called footy,
Yeah.
And obviously Mum had no idea about footy, and they're all Carlton supporters, right? She got curious, man. I still remember, and I don't think I was any older than 4 years old, but I still remember Mum. She put me and her and went in the car, and now Glenroy to Windy Hill in Essendon's not far. It's like probably a 15-minute drive.
Yeah.
She just wanted to have a look at a game. It was Essendon and North. She just wanted to have a look. And all I can tell you now, all I can remember from that game is legs. Because we weren't even on the seat. We were in the standing room.
Okay.
And I'm a little kid. And all I could see is all these people. I barely saw any of the game.
Yeah.
But Mum just watched it. She just wanted to see it. Mate, she got into it. Big time. Mad Carlton supporter.
Awesome.
So we used to go to all the Carlton home games, mate. She used to get into fights. People, mate. Oh, yeah.
Like this, huh?
No, not punch-ons, but mouth.
Yeah, but like with the heart.
Oh, my God, mate. I'll never forget the time she took us to the MCG, mate. And we went to Carlton and Melbourne. Now, we very rarely went to the G. We went to most of the Princess Park games. Yeah.
Yep.
Still miss that ground. It's like my home. But anyway, that's
we never got to experience any of those games.
Oh, dude.
Nothing like that. It's all just MCG games.
It was like a cauldron, mate. People go there, mate. They were scared, mate.
That's
because Carlton were good in those days, and also that was like home, mate. And the support, like it was all Carlton people.
Yeah.
Anyway, but we went to this Carlton Melbourne game, and my mum didn't just take me my brother and sister, she used to take her sister's 3 sons as well. So it was her and 6 kids,
Like a little excursion.
mate. And no one else. My dad never went because he
Yeah.
was too busy in the garden.
Yeah.
Right? That's all he ever did.
Tomatoes.
Everything.
Beautiful.
Fucking used to grow broad beans, farvy, all that shit. Peas. Anyway. So we go, for whatever reason, we end up in a Melbourne area.
Yep.
And of course, Melbourne weren't great back in the 70s. It was 1978, I think this was roughly. I was about 6 or 7, Anyway, she gets in a bit of, because she was mouthing off a bit, and everyone around us was Melbourne supporters. There were these 2 Aussie women. Yep. All right.
Oh,
And they bit of words getting exchanged. And anyway, cut a long story short, you'll love this. 3/4 time, my cousin Nick, and he was about 13 years old at the time. He goes, see, I've got to go to the toilet. So he goes to the toilet. He comes back and he goes, see, I actually heard those 2 ladies talking. They said they're going to get you after the game. I heard them say it. And my mum's like, oh, really? My mum wasn't like, oh, my God. No,
did
she's
she
like,
have the accent? She got the accent?
oh, yeah, she had an accent, pretty thick accent.
Yeah.
She goes, oh, really? Okay. Now, normally we used to leave at the 20-minute mark back in those days. If Carlton were winning and the game was decided, we'd leave early, try and get out quicker.
Yeah. Miss Traffic.
Not that day. No, man. She was pumped, mate. So this is my mum, right? Carlton win. I think we won about 20 points or something. She picked up all her bags, had all the kids around her. She starts walking out.
Mm-hmm.
And these 2 women stood in her way. And, of course, the racial slurs came out, yeah?
Yeah.
Why don't you go
Started.
back where you came from? Mate, they didn't finish that sentence. Do you know what she done?
Tell me.
Got both their heads and smashed them together. Knocked them flat. Seriously, mate, it was on, right? But these girls didn't know what the fuck hit them. Right?
Yeah. They probably didn't expect it.
Well,
yeah.
Mum, they thought my mum was gonna, because my mum was 5'1",
Yeah.
and these were, well, tall to an Italian's like 5'6", right?
Yeah.
But these women were basically towering over her. It's very intimidating. But my mum just no, mate. See, my mum had that real maternal mentality of protecting the kids as well.
I think that's a very ethnic thing as well.
100%.
Like my grandmother is the same on my mum's side. Like we used to go to the shops and if she she loved us. My grandmother was Romanian, so on my mum's side she's Romanian, and on my father's side they're Maltese.
Jesus.
And yeah,
It's a bad mix.
weird mix, isn't it? Weird mix.
Favourite accent's the Maltese accent. I love it.
Yeah.
Get off the
Fendi.
road. There's a car coming.
It's the best. And for some reason, they just hold on to it for their
And
life.
have you noticed too that how much the Maltese love Elvis? Oh my!
Yeah.
Mate, I used to DJ, right? Used to DJ parties and shit. Oh mate, every Maltese parties were great. 'Cause
Yeah.
they all partied hard. They wasn't hard to get them up dancing. But I remember every Maltese party, 9:30, 10 o'clock, some old bloke will come up. Come on, mate, it's time to put on the Elvis.
Yeah.
And like I even saw. I don't know. You wouldn't have seen this, but for about 5 years they had a festival in Sunshine called the Sunshine Outdoor Festival, and I was the host for 5 years, right?
Yeah.
And I remember they used to have all local acts, and this one guy showed up doing an Elvis show.
Yeah.
Oh, they would have gone nuts.
Dude,
They would have gone fucking mental.
I bet you my father knows him.
but he had the accent.
Yeah. Oh, the Maltese accent.
I swear.
So
The
was
guy was
Maltese
about
as well.
60 odd,
Yeah.
and he had an accent, and it came out when he was singing. So I shit you not. Sounds like I made this up. Sounds like this is a comedy routine.
Nothing but the hound dog.
No, this is what he says. He said, I swear to God, well, it's a 1 for the money, 2 for the show, 3 to get ready. Now go, go, go. And we're dying. We're literally dying, right? Like I'm sitting there, because it was something just wrong. So wrong on so many levels.
How was he dressed up? Was it very half-assed? Yeah.
He had, no. He had the Elvis collar with, I think it was in red, all
Yeah.
red. So it was all bells and whistles and
okay.
shit.
Yeah.
I know he went all out,
Yeah. Beautiful.
but the Maltese accent.
Just
mate.
didn't have the voice, did he?
Oh, he just had the accent. It was still there.
Yeah.
Like, you'd think I gets up, start singing, it'll disappear. Fuck no. It was actually stronger.
I'll tell
I
you
was
what,
dying.
if it weren't for the Maltese, Rock would be dead.
100%. It's
Possibly.
funny you bring
Like-
up that.
Just quickly, my Tiffany's old man, Ray,
Yeah.
49 years old, still got the quiff.
Yeah.
Like, it'll just never leave him.
Rockabilly.
Rock and Maltese is like cars and Maltese.
So do you know,
Boats.
as a result of my mum's love for it was the VFL in those days. There was no AFL.
Yep.
I never played soccer. I was Aussie rules, man.
Oh, really?
So even as a
So was my
7-year-old,
dad.
even as a
Yeah.
7-year-old, I was playing Aussie rules.
How did you go being a WOG going into an Aussie rules
Mate, I
game?
was like, as a junior, I was a gun.
Beautiful.
I actually won best in the comp when I was 9.
Excellent.
So there's 14 games in the season. So if you get best on ground in every game, that's 42 votes, 14 threes,
Yeah.
37 votes. And I was sick one game.
Fucking.
There you go, cop that.
Que
Beautiful.
stronzo.
Two 2 voters and 11 3 voters.
There you go.
I was a gun. I should have gone on with it, mate. I think I started too young because I started as a 7-year-old, and I think by the time I got to 14, I got a bit burnt out. I'm spewing. I had all the necessary skill because even as an 8, 9-year-old, I could kick both feet, no problem.
Yeah.
Right. But I don't know, for some reason when I hit 14, 15 and look, I wasn't winning as many trophies, I sort of lost it a bit. I just lost my love for it.
But that's a kind of a short career, isn't it, playing football?
Not
Not to
necessarily.
say to stop
Look,
at
the
14.
reality is that I was good enough to play big league. If I had have stayed fit and stayed focused, I could have. Might not have been big enough. But then again, look, there's a few smaller players than me. Like Tony Liberatore was 5'4". It's like 164 centimeters or something like that. I'm 172, so I'm not tiny.
Eddie Betts is small.
Eddie Betts is taller than me. I've stood next to him. He's 174, I think.
Okay, yep.
Yeah, I've stood next to Eddie.
My old man was training with Fitzroy as a Bears.
There you go.
Fitzroy.
Well, they were the Bears.
Yeah.
Fitzroy Lions, because they merged with Brisbane.
Yeah, so he was when it was Fitzroy Bears. I reckon he was
So is
about
that in the
18,
90s,
19.
You reckon the 90s?
Yeah,
in the
about
90s?
then.
Well, in 1996, they folded. They merged.
Yeah.
into it,
So he used to train for them, and my nonna had found out. And obviously back then it wasn't about how talented you were.
So
It
even in
was
the 90s, they got the shits.
Oh, mate, she fucking... Hey, she picked him up one day from football training. He told her he was out with friends. She picked him up and she goes, "You're not playing football." She threw out all his trophies, everything. She turned him off.
But
the
why
sport.
was that? Why is that?
Mate, fuck. Gabriel, can you answer that for us?
The only thing I can think of... Well, I'll give you an example. My cousin Nick, who I mentioned earlier, when he was 13, he was a gun as well. Great footballer, right? Because all our family played Aussie rules. My brother as well, right?
Yeah.
Nick, he was a star, mate. Beautiful left foot kick. I used to love watching his kicking. Right, he trained, I think, a little bit with under 19s at Carlton.
Yeah,
he was in the Carlton zone, and it's not that his parents sort of talked to him like the same way you're describing your nonna, but it was about work.
Yeah, how are you going to make money?
Work.
Yeah.
I reckon it's about work because he had an apprenticeship going, right, and he was going to, and he's to be fair, Nick's in his. Well, he's 57 years old now, and Nick he's got a cabinet making business, and that's what his apprenticeship was for.
Yeah.
So in fairness, maybe you could argue that they were on the right track there, but the thing is, I think that's what it is.
And let's be real, the money in the 90s for football wasn't there.
Oh, only at the top level it was there.
Yeah.
You could
Even at the top level, it wasn't like what it is
it's not
now.
like
Now
it
it's
is
$1
now.
million seasons. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
but
crazy.
I mean, I still remember players in the 90s getting, $250 a year, and that's a lot
Really?
of money back
Fuck.
then. Yeah.
You got to think about now too. You all got brand deals and stuff involved. Like that Bailey Smith guys, he signed with bonds. He's like, it's not just like your wage you get from the AFL. It's all your wages you get
sponsored by his dealer.
So I reckon
Yeah.
but I reckon to answer your question, that's because, well, mate, what do you think happened with me when I started doing stand-up? Now, it's not that my mum and dad were ever going to stop me from doing it, but yeah, mate, mum was straight away, "What are you doing?" Mum, I kept my day job for like the first 8 years.
Yeah.
So I had a day job. So I've never been out of work. I can tell you straight, except for COVID, but that's another story.
Yeah.
Big C.
Sorry.
That's right. We'll bleep that.
Fuck off COVID. Anyway, that's what mum was like. I remember early days, what are you doing? Mum, relax. I'm still working, mate. If I don't make any money doing comedy, I've still got my job.
Yeah.
So let's not worry about that. And then I remember when, the money was rolling in from stand-up. No, look, I don't want you to think that I've ever made millions doing stand-up. I've done okay at it.
Beautiful.
But I've made a wage, and I've also got other promotional side angles that I do. That's why I'm wearing the Comics Lounge shirt.
Excellent.
Yeah, I promote them. I run a sales crew for them.
Later on, I want to talk a bit about the
Yeah,
Comics
cool,
Lounge.
for sure. Anyway, cut a long story short, when I remember when the money starts rolling in, that's when I noticed my parents finally,
Supportive.
not supportive as such, no. I mean, they never were unsupportive. They were just, because I was 20,
Skeptical. They were
I was
skeptical.
25
Yeah.
when I started. It wasn't like I was 18 or whatever. Anyway, I just remember hearing them saying, "Oh yeah, my son does stand-up comedy." Yeah. And they would never have said that if they thought I wasn't doing any good at it, right?
The Paga talks, huh?
Well, I guess. I mean, and this is like, because Mum passed away a long time ago, 2005, unfortunately.
God
but,
rest her soul.
yeah, man, she was only 61 too, which is sad.
Poor thing.
But I just remember one very funny instance. And see, Mum was always very, great woman, great mum, like always, even got to tell her before she passed something that gives me so much peace. I told her that if I have children, I'm going to raise them like you did. She goes, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, it's not like it was perfect and you got everything right every time." I said, "But not a day went by that I didn't feel loved or validated." And you should have seen the look on her
That's
face.
so beautiful.
No, but I nailed it.
Good.
Like, what I'm saying is that, and I can tell you now, that's possibly the last conversation I had with her, because shortly after that, she went downhill pretty quick.
Yeah.
But I nailed it. I saw the look on her face, and I've gone, fuck. You know how much peace that gives me?
Excellent.
You have no idea.
I'm so happy.
I'm lucky, man. Like, could have easily said it all wrong. But anyway, but to cut a long story short, like, when Mum was in the hospital one time, and see, my dad never, my dad only died 3 years ago, but he never saw me do a live show.
Yeah.
Whereas Mum came to a couple, but Dad never, right?
Yeah.
And I thought, he doesn't give a shit, not interested. But then again, if you knew my father, it's not that big a deal. He never goes out.
Yeah.
One of those people, right? He's really old school, didn't even like leaving his suburbs.
Exactly the same as my grandfather.
Right. So I never thought anything like he didn't like. But what I overheard one day when Mum was in the hospital was he was talking to one of the nurses. And his conversation was like, oh yeah, that's my son over there. Yeah, okay. Yeah, he's Gabriel Rossi. He's a comedian. You've heard of him, haven't you? And she's like, no. Right? But the thing is, I'd never heard that from him, man.
Yeah.
Never heard, so first time I've gone, oh fuck. He actually gives a fuck.
That's fantastic.
Oh, mate, so look, there's a lot about my dad in his later years after Mum was gone that I'm a bit disappointed about, so I'm not going to go into that.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Rude, disrespectful, but at the same time, man, I've got that. That's a big thing, man.
Of course, yeah, would have been. Yeah,
big thing. So, yeah, mate, but my dad shocked me that time because I honestly thought he barely knew that I was even doing it.
Can I, on the topic of your father talking to the nurses, so do you think that's kind of an old woggy thing where the fathers, they go and like walk around, they talk to the nurses and they
with
try
his
and
hands
finesse.
behind his
Dad, I don't think Dad had anything. What are you talking about? An ulterior motive? You're like flirting?
No, I'm just. It's almost an ego that they have, like know.
Oh no, I don't think so.
No,
no, not in my dad's case. One thing I don't think Dad had much of was a big ego.
Okay, yep.
He was just he was simple in his thought process. No, I know the type you're talking about because I got uncles. Yeah, they would have been like, yeah, that's my boy.
Yeah.
My son, my dad was probably more like just. I don't know, man. I think in that instance, the way I heard it was he's just proud, man. And
Beautiful.
Mate, I'm telling you, like, even I do get heavy thinking about it now because obviously I wasn't even that close to Dad, really. Like, because Mum was so strong.
Yeah.
You know, one of the reasons I reckon I've turned out this way though is because of Mum, because like I'm unbreakable in a way. Because when people criticise, I don't give a fuck, And I reckon it's because of this. I still have these conversations in my head, My dad was pretty negative, So if I fucked up something at home or I don't know.
You definitely heard about it.
Oh, he just,
Yeah.
But this is how those conversations would go, right? You gotta understand, right?
Yeah.
And you'll appreciate this. It's very much an Italian trait because our mate Christos that's sitting behind the scenes over there is from a Greek family. Might agree or might disagree, but I reckon the dominant figure in the Greek family is the father, whereas in the Italians it's the mother. All right. I know the mothers in Greek very strong people, but the Italians are like the fucking glue that holds a family together 100%. Right? This is how those conversations would go. So let's say I fuck something up. Let's say I broke, a toy that I fucking bought last week.
Yeah.
He'd come in there and he even had a word, mate. He used to call me a wrecker.
Yeah.
He goes, you bloody wrecker. You know what the next thing I would hear is? My mum. Shut up, Louis.
Always standing up.
Shut up, Louis. Shut up, Louis. And I'll be like, yeah, shut up, Louis. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Like in other words, he'd criticise me, she'd tell him to shut up, and it was over.
Yeah.
See, that's where that's
boss,
what blows my mind. Yeah, because
I couldn't do no wrong almost.
The way you describe your old man is the exact same way that you describe my nonno. Yes,
it's a consistency. Yeah.
But how it worked back then was obviously my nonno was the patriarch of the family.
Yep.
Yeah, he's the one that worked. He paid the bills. He drove everyone around. But my nonna was and fucking still is a force to be reckoned with.
Right. Well, in our case, just you nailed something there when you said drive everyone around.
Yeah.
My dad hated drive. He was scared to drive. Like my dad, go to the city.
Yeah.
He shit himself. Right. He really hated the roads. Right. No, Mum, she went everywhere.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you how strong Mum was. When she first got to Australia and lived in this small town called Orbost, right? Because only like 6,000 people live there or something.
Wow.
Even to this day. By the way, guess who else is from there? Michael Voss. But anyway,
not bad.
Yeah, I know, right? So anyway,
2 good souls out of the country, out of the
correct.
town.
So get this right. My mum came to this country, obviously didn't know anyone, right? And instead of just, pretty much isolated, didn't know anyone, instead of sitting there and, wallowing in self-pity because she didn't know anyone and didn't speak good English, she fucking wrote off for correspondence. She got tapes, learnt English. So my mum, even though she fucked up a lot of words, made me laugh, her English was quite strong. So by the end of it, but she used to always fuck up the THs and the Ts.
Yeah, it's just something they couldn't spit out, yeah?
She always get them back to front. So in other words, instead of saying, I taught you to do that, she'd say, I thought you to do that. And then, and that, no matter how many times we told her it was Thomastown, she'd always say Thomastown.
There you go.
Doesn't matter. She just kept fucking it.
Just becomes adopted and you just...
And someone falls over. Oh, look, he fumbled over. No, mate, it's tumble. But, she just kept fucking doing it.
I love it.
And you know what? No matter how many times I told her, didn't matter. No, mate.
But
and I've seen a lot of families where you talk about like your nonna being the patriarch, for sure. But in a lot of cases, I see some very strong Italian women.
Yeah, so I think it is it's like...
Mum was probably next
from
level.
what you see, it's the mum.
Yeah.
But like at the end of the day, my nonna, she never spoke up to anyone except for my nonna, and she wouldn't do it. She wouldn't do it in public, but you could tell, especially towards the end of my nonna's life.
Yep.
You saw like growing up, man, they used to fight, and my nonna used to fucking go.
Yeah,
but
they
then,
blew
and
hard.
I never saw like
hard,
I'd sit there and I'd go, these two hate each other. But in the end, you see, before my nonna died, you saw the love and you saw the admiration.
You wonder about that. I mean, honestly, man, like they didn't meet the way we meet people now. Like, even
it's Tinder of the 60s, arranged marriage. We spoke about that.
It wasn't quite an arranged marriage what my mum and dad did, but what they did do. See, mum was living in Italy still.
Yeah.
And dad was already here. And I don't know who set it up, but they were mailing each other.
Okay.
So then dad actually jumped on a ship to go to Italy to meet this girl that he'd been talking with. Mm-hmm. And they spent about 2 or 3 months getting to know each other and they got married.
That's beautiful.
And then I don't know if it's beautiful because to be brutally honest with you, mate, I've described my father, like I said, there's a lot obviously of good stuff there, but he was a homebody. My mum was not like that, mate. Yeah. She was energetic and outgoing, he took her nowhere, mate. He did nothing, mate. She married the wrong guy. I'll tell you straight up.
Yeah.
Like, total mismatch. But she could have easily functioned fine without him. He was screwed without her.
Yeah.
So,
Do you think that that's a common occurrence in ethnic households, that kind of going back to what you were talking about, who the patriarch...
Hey, listen, this is 2022 and I'm the homebody and my missus is the one wants to go out, so it's still the same.
Okay, let's talk about my situation then, shall we? It's obviously, look, I don't like to think that I'm the patriarch of my house at all. I mean, in fact, it's almost like that kind of attitude doesn't wash, mate.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like if I sort of came out all guns blazing and say, I run the show here, I mean, I'm not suggesting that my wife would give a shit or whatever, but, externally people would be like, fucking mate, dude, you're a dinosaur.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's got to be a partnership now, mate. It's very, very different now. Look, and the other thing too is, like, obviously in the case of my parents, well, they both worked, right? But, now it's not even an option not to.
You have
right?
to, yeah.
So, of course, my missus has a career. She's a police officer, right? So, I've got my stand-up. So, look, I don't know. I wouldn't even pick a leader at our house, to be fair with you.
Yeah.
I hope, I don't know if she was watching this, she'd probably disagree.
Some fucking wog you are.
What we'll do is we'll go for a first break because the camera's overheating, and then I want to go on to the topic of wogs then and wogs now.
Sure. That's well, I've got a very interesting view on that stuff. Yeah.
Excellent.
100%.
Let's do that. So we'll just let the camera cool down for about 5 minutes, and we'll come back.
Siggy break. And we're back. We'll give a couple shout-outs, Kyle.
Let's do it.
Shout out to Hair on Chalice, Tiffany's mum's business.
How's that going, all right?
Fuck, business is booming.
Excellent. We love it.
Beautiful.
Massage.
Good on her. It's gone far. Hair on Chalice. It's gone very far.
Yep.
It was a project that wanted to get done for years and years and years. She finally did it.
Beautiful.
So,
sorry, I mixed the two companies up.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So I'm very happy for it. Also, Aquasage, Enza. She's a very big fan of you, Gabriel.
It's only human.
She's met you a couple times.
You like that?
Yeah. Nah, they're very good too.
Thanks,
what is
Enzo,
it?
by the way, if you're watching.
Touch-free, hands-free massages. So you go into bed.
Touch-free massage.
Yep.
You go in a yeah, exactly. No happy ending here.
No happies.
No,
Just water happies.
touch-free sex is next, yeah?
You can turn her.
Well,
Hey, hang
fuck,
on.
in this day and age, God knows what's fucking
Well, I
next.
used to see during the pandemic when the brothels were open, they said they practiced social distancing. What the fuck's that all about?
Yeah, fuck, what a wank.
I mean, I don't know anyone with a fucking 6-foot cock.
What
You know
a
what I mean? Like
wank.
1.5 meter.
Well,
dick.
maybe we should use that brick trick.
Good idea.
You like that?
We'll talk about that later.
We listen.
Yeah, no. So if you do want a happy ending there, I can tell you it'll be pretty painful. It's pretty high. It's pretty high powered, man.
Oh, imagine that, bro.
Yeah, imagine that. Imagine, you know what? If you want this Saturday, Kyle, come over with the high pressure hose and we'll do a test run on
It's
you.
kind. Look,
Happy
all
days.
jokes aside, it's kind of. I know a few girls that work in the massage industry, and they do get asked, don't they? Dickheads go, do you get you like seriously?
Yeah.
Like how fucked is that shit?
You like it's almost as if like
That, honestly, I joke, right?
Yeah.
And I've got a wicked sense of humour, but in reality,
it's kind of like you need to pick and choose when it's
have a bit
appropriate.
of class, mate.
Yeah.
Guys, you dickheads,
Yeah,
right?
it's like you walk into a massage parlor in a shopping center and you go and ask, "Oh, do you do happy endings?" And they've
Oh
got
my
all open
God.
fucking curtains.
Yeah, just
How
the curtain.
stupid.
That's it. Yeah,
stupid.
you're
But all
gonna get
jokes
jacked
aside,
off.
man, like that's where, you know, the people that throw that word misogyny around, that's where it comes from. And, you know, it's that simple to not do something that stupid.
Yeah.
You know, like I love women, man, don't get me wrong. And I actually am one of those people, though, that does think that term gets thrown around a little too much.
Misogyny.
Yeah.
100%.
Oh, man, I got called a misogynist and I'm talking about my wife in my comedy.
Yeah.
Well, you don't think I run the jokes past her? Of course I fucking do, right? I mean, she's a cop, mate. She could shoot me, mate. Not only that, she could get her colleagues and organise to have my body disposed of, never to be seen again.
And then if she agrees with the jokes and likes the jokes, then
100%.
she'll
And then
cuff ya.
she gets the life insurance.
No, they're not allowed to bring the equipment from home.
Hey,
they're
and
not allowed
then-
to bring it home, mate.
And then she gets the life insurance and the super.
Well, I've got a good life insurance. My super's nothing. No, I fucked that up.
Self-employed, that's why.
Being self-employed,
Yeah.
super, man, it's been chewed up by fees and shit.
Yeah.
There's nothing left in it. She's got a good super. She'd actually be worth a lot to me, dead. Seriously.
Well, I keep telling Tiffany.
Do you know what? All jokes aside, if she died during work hours,
Oh, Gabriel.
like at work, no, dude, we're talking 2 or 3 mil here, bro.
Yeah,
Come on.
mine's.
Okay, now we can talk.
Yeah, exactly. Look, don't get me wrong, I love her and all, but 2 or 3 mil, bro.
Yeah, that's talkable.
We could even organise a nanny then. You know?
That's yeah.
And she'd be
Mine's
she'd be
mine's
from
1.5.
Sweden. 18.
Mine's 1.5 mil if I cark it.
Be careful, Gabriel. You might get called a misogynist again.
No,
Yeah.
man,
Be
I'm
careful.
just kidding, you fuckers.
Be careful. Snowflakes everywhere. Hey, let's talk about
Yeah. High school.
high school, and we want to kind of join that with Wogs then and now. So starting with high school, give us a rundown of your
I went
your
to a
lunchbox.
I went.
Let's go with where you were going, and then we'll do the lunchbox.
Well, no, I've got to tell you this story because that's why I'm laughing because I've remembered this story. So, I've always been a fan of spicy food.
Yeah.
Love hot salami. right?
Beautiful.
It's going to be if I'm going to be executed, salami.
Last meal, huh?
100%. Two reasons. I love it, and when you die, it all comes out. Cop that. Fuck you. Right? Anyway, right?
Oh yeah, that'll
So
fucking
anyway,
stink, man.
But seriously, so one day my mum made me some pancetta sandwiches. You know, that's like the pancetta is, right? It's like
prosciutto, yeah.
kinda.
Like, yeah.
It's a slightly different version of prosciutto,
Yeah.
basically, but it was the spicy one.
yeah.
Like fucking hot as fuck. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, one of my Aussie mates thought he was being clever. You ready for this, guys? When I wasn't looking, he put chili powder in my sandwich,
Okay.
thinking that
It's gonna
I
make
was
a
going to
difference.
bite into it and
Yeah.
I was going to lose my
And
shit.
explode. Yeah.
And this is me. You know, didn't bat an eyelid. And he's like, "Did you notice anything about your lunch?" I said, "No." He goes, "Have a look." And so I opened it up and I noticed it was all red powder everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, I go, "Oh, did you put this red powder? Is that chili powder, is it?" And he goes, "Yeah." He goes, "What, didn't that burn him?" I said, "Mate, it was already fucking hot." I said, "I actually like this, mate. You're a dickhead."
But so you were alright with the spicy when you
Oh,
were younger?
yeah. Within reason. I mean, I'm not a wasabi sort of bloke.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
But yeah, no, I love it, mate.
Did you do the classic like pasta dory bread? With
Not
the,
really, but certainly had a lot of the salami sandwiches.
Beautiful.
Look, I'll be honest with you, man. I did a lot of canteen shit too. Don't worry.
Yeah.
See, my childhood was still a lot of. It was like There was one or the other, and there was no in between. So it would be over a span of 6 months. It'd be 6 months. It'd be salami sandwiches.
I don't think I was anything like those, those big wog
Nah.
meals. Nah.
Do you think that's a little bit over exaggerated?
Oh, not in the early days, mate.
So they did used to bring
In
the
the 70s for sure, 70s and 80s, yeah.
Yeah, beautiful.
Thinking I've got older brother and sister, yeah. I'm pretty sure, like, we weren't flushed with cash, like we weren't just working class, so pretty sure to save money they would have done a lot of homemade sort of stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Even now my wife makes the kids lunches most days. Yeah.
Do the kids like the European food, the wog food?
Oh, my daughter does, yeah.
Yep.
My son is 10 years old. He's actually on the autism spectrum, but he's not severe.
Yep.
He's very high functioning. You wouldn't, what? If you met him, you wouldn't know it.
Yep.
Right? But when it comes to food and their diet, it's a fucking nightmare.
Really?
He only wants to eat about 5 things, mate.
Okay.
Chicken nuggets.
Always.
Yep.
Yeah.
Chicken nuggets,
chips.
sausages in bread, hot dogs. Fuck. Mate, lately we're getting in, like, even if he only has a nibble, mate. I gave him some lamb the other day.
Okay.
Oh, victory, mate.
Yeah, beautiful.
The only thing that's healthy that the little shit eats is bloody strawberries. Loves strawberries.
Nice.
So, but we have to have a constant supply of strawberries.
At least he's getting something kind of.
Well, where I live in Back of Smash, but it's only good for 6 months. They got the best strawberry farm there, mate.
Excellent.
Holy
Yeah, it would
moly,
be.
mate. They $12 a kilo. Oh, mate, the best strawberries.
Excuse my ignorance.
I did that when I met you, man. Go on anyway. Go on,
my
bro.
right in my heart. The cost. Obviously, the cost of living's gone through the roof.
Well,
yeah.
that's more recent, and you and I both know that that's contrived, but that's another story.
Yep. Do you think that living, because obviously you've told us that you're trying to keep away from the whole suburbs. Do you think the cost
pretty
of does the cost vary, or is it still kind of the
Oh,
same?
mate, look, I live in a house in Back of Smash that's on an acre,
Yep.
1 acre block,
Oh, beautiful.
and it's a 50 square house.
Yep.
Big house, right?
Fuck, maybe I'll start comedy.
Well,
Don't forget about me, George.
Yeah.
my missus is on the take. So
Oh,
anyway,
okay.
so
Breadwinner.
the reality is that in a suburb like Point Cook or somewhere like around here, you'd pay minimum $2 million for something like that, maybe more.
Yep.
But even up there, it's still although some say that it's pushing 1.5, but I don't think it's quite that high. But the next door neighbour's house, same size block, but house was smaller, went for 1.1 about 2 or 3 years ago. So,
Wow. There
so
you go.
there's still $1 million properties in Back of Smash, but Back of Smash is popular now.
Yeah.
Like we've got a population of about 27,000 there.
Well, it's funny because my brother just bought a house in next to
Rockbank.
Brookfield.
Yeah,
Brookfield.
so that's in Melton, more or less, yeah.
What's the
Brookfield,
difference?
Melton,
Yeah,
Coranjang, all those.
How
suburbs.
far would that be from Bacchus Marsh?
10 minutes.
Yeah, so there you go. So everyone's kind of I've
But
got a
it's-
couple of friends
but
from work
it's
that have
like-
bought out that way.
I actually reckon that the house prices in Back of Smash would match Melton.
You
Okay.
reckon?
Yeah, I think so. Because Melton's still, even as good as it's going, and as much as it's improved, people still hear the word Melton.
Yeah, but is it as feral as what they say it is?
Mate,
Still.
you're talking to a bloke who's married to a Melton copper, so yes. The
Oh,
answer's
fuck.
yes.
Okay.
Hey, she a
When
wife?
I say feral though, like every place, mate.
Well, that's what I was going to say. You come here, you can't even leave your car on the street.
No, like I'm not going to single out Melton for being some sort of crime haven.
Mm.
I mean, yeah, they've got their share, but mate, my missus used to work at Williamstown, mate. And,
Yep.
do you know what they call Point Cook? The coppers, they call it Point Crook.
Or Point
Crook.
Cooked.
Do you know when you fly over this part of Melbourne?
Yeah.
Right, they've got their air wing, yeah, and they can see all the hydroponic setups, mate, because it's all lights up because they've got heat-seeking capability.
Bullshit.
This fucking area is a Christmas tree, my friend. Every second, third house has got one, right? So there is marijuana coming out of your ass around here, and it's all. Some of it are just people just doing it themselves for their own use, but a lot of cases it's commercial quantities, right? They don't go after all of them because they can't.
Well,
But they obviously try and store up the info and get the kingpins at some point.
exactly right.
But they seriously, dude. I joke about. Well, everyone jokes about areas like Frankston, Melton being run down and dodgy, mate. Everywhere you go, there's
100%.
drugs is the scourge, and it is what it is. I don't judge it because I got mates that use. Sometimes they're fine, and then you got the people that can't handle it. Their life goes off the rails. There's nothing you can do about that.
Yeah, exactly right. And it just comes to show, like, as we were talking before, you got Melton, you come to Altona Meadows, it's the same fucking shit.
Well, hang on a
100%.
second. You just got me interested in something.
Uh-oh.
We have a lot of debates about this, yes? Because personally, marijuana, I think if that becomes fully legalized, I think it's a bad thing.
They're
now
trying
that you
to.
say that, and how I feel about this is, and it's basically exactly what you said. For different people, you get different reactions.
100%.
Is that right?
So look,
So, and
They're
that's
trying to make marijuana a grade A drug like heroin and fucking and
no, they're not. They're trying to
methamphetamine
legalize
now.
it.
No, they're not.
I'll let you finish what you got to say, and then I'll add something that
So,
you'll like.
So, and that's, and you know what? All I wanted to say is that's exactly what I've been trying to argue, but I've never been able to I've just never been able to find the words to say it, because at the end of the day, like, let's just say Chris over here gets high. What if he gets fucking paranoid as fuck and does something bad? Like, you just don't know.
That right there's the issue.
And weed comes in so many different strains, and it's every different strain has a different reaction to the body. I think it's a very dangerous, slippery slope to go down.
On the one hand, I'm one of those people that, put a gun to my head and say you've got to take an illicit drug. Well, the first thing I do is marijuana because, it's probably
The least harmful.
you would hope,
Yeah.
right? But in the same breath, I'm also my sister, who I mentioned earlier. She's a psychiatric nurse,
Yeah.
right? And she's worked in psychiatry mental health since she was a teenager, mate.
Yeah.
She hates marijuana.
I've got a
Really?
friend who's a
Well,
nurse.
it triggers. If you're predisposed, like you said, you don't know all the different people. If you're predisposed to things like schizophrenia in particular and a few other ailments, marijuana will trip it up.
Can understand.
I've got a friend who is a nurse in a psych hospital, in a psych ward, and he reckons the most, what's the word, people going in? What's the fucking word?
Emissions.
Admissions. The most admissions of people going through psychosis after smoking weed.
Yeah.
But then you have to understand too. There is that element. Gabriel, I'll be honest with you. I am a recreational smoker.
I don't judge it.
So for
An
me,
avid.
And you've obviously been using a while, and it obviously doesn't affect you that way.
correct,
Great.
correct. So I like to think that I still go to work. I've still got my job. Like to think I'm a little bit smart
Mate,
about it.
You're one of many. You're almost like fucking. I would even go so far as to say you're not a majority, but fuck, a lot of people use.
Of course,
A lot of
yeah.
people smoke.
Mate, the people I'm around every day.
It's no coincidence that states like South Australia have that legal limit of 5 plants or whatever.
Yeah, I don't condone it. I'm not saying
You don't
everyone
have to
should go
condone
and
it, but you
smoke.
like it, you do it.
Of course.
You can handle it. It's like drinking, mate. I mean, I know some of the best drinkers on the planet, and then I think there are people out there that should never
do
drink.
it. Yeah, it just
Right?
comes down to what you can handle. Like
So
as
I'm a
you
great
said.
drinker, but I don't drink.
Yeah.
Because I just don't get off on the idea anymore.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
over
Oh,
it.
well, I'm the same. I don't enjoy drinking alcohol. What I enjoy doing is having a smoke here or there. I don't abuse it. I like to, be smart about it. But then again,
Mrs.
the
loves
people.
it because whenever we go anywhere, there's alcohol. She knows I can drive her home. She
There you
loves
go.
it.
Two
Not
peas
that
in a pod
Not
works.
that we go out.
But
much.
CBD oil, 100%.
Yeah, 100%. Cannabis oil, all that stuff, medicinal cannabis, absolutely.
Hemp.
I think it's really good for all sorts of, particularly a lot of cancer stuff.
My
There's
my
really
grandfather
Anxiety.
my grandfather was telling me a story. So he's from the north of Greece, yeah, and obviously money back then was scarce. Food was very scarce. Always fucking cold there.
benefit. That's happening too now.
So they used to make rope. They used to make hemp rope.
Yep.
Yeah, and they used to sell it.
Yep.
And what they noticed is when you get the plant and you squeeze it, you get a milk.
Yep.
And he was telling me, he was having a laugh.
Drink
he
that.
goes, we all used to drink the milk. And I'm
That'd
like,
be off their heads,
I'm
wouldn't
like, you know what you're doing? He goes, oh, nothing bad. Everyone was just happy. No fighting. He goes, oh, no fights after that. Everyone
you
was
go.
happy. Everyone was drinking their milk.
That's awesome.
And you see how it's evolved so many years
Look,
and what now.
in so many areas of medicine, and there's so much good stuff come out of plants. That can do all sorts of stuff. They even, we don't know half of the shit that the pharmaceutical giants are hiding. Let's not get started on that one. That's another 4-hour conversation.
Cure for cancer and all that shit.
Well, that's I believe that's out there. So
Yeah,
yeah,
100%.
so yeah. Look, that's definitely I can understand people's concerns with marijuana. Absolutely.
Yeah, I can too. Being a smoker, I can understand it, but then I can also understand the overreaction and.
I can't do marijuana. I can't smoke,
No.
mate. I don't
Downward
know how to
spiral?
smoke. No, I just can't. I don't know how to drag.
Puff
It's
it like
better.
a
It's
cigar.
better you
I'm
don't do it.
serious. I don't know.
Better
How
you
to,
don't do it.
like I've had people offer me been around people. Oh, you have a toke. So
Yeah,
I can't do it without coughing.
yeah. I think I've just gotten used to it. Hey, can we talk about this show you got coming up?
Yeah. This is the 22nd year. So every Christmas since 2001, I've done this show.
Very woggy.
A very woggy Christmas.
That's the one. Beautiful.
Yeah, man, we do it every year. We change the lineup a bit. This year I was hoping to get Tahir back, but he's busy.
Mm-hmm.
But I've got James and Piero. I don't know if you know Pippo and Pasquale.
Yeah, yeah.
You've seen their stuff?
Yep.
So they're doing it.
Is Joe on it?
No.
Spewing.
Yeah, no, I'd love to have got him too. There's a new girl, got a bit of a following online, Macedonian background.
Okay.
Very attractive young lady too.
Excellent.
Her name's Bianca Ismailovsky. And look, she's only going to probably be a small role in the show, but you know, I'm not doing it for tokenistic reasons. I like having a female in my lineups. I think
What about Effie, mate?
mate, I couldn't afford her, mate. She'd want
She,
$5 grand a
I'm
turn,
telling
mate.
you, the first time I seen you, it was one of
Yeah,
Effie's
you
show
said
in
that.
Yarraville.
You said that, yeah.
Fucking what a laugh, man. With your guitar, you're gonna have your guitar out.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
I did some. I was almost going to bring it today, but then I didn't get.
Hey, I've got a
Should've.
guitar in the studio.
Yeah, well, I can finish with a song. If
Can
you
we?
Yeah, for sure.
Keep talking. I'm gonna go get the
Alright.
guitar. Keep
All
talking.
right,
Yeah,
I can do
so-
WOG versions of a couple songs if you want.
So who else you got on?
Oh well, we've got a mystery guest, so I'm not allowed to talk about it because you know what? It's my industry is interesting, mate. There's let's just say there's a guy that I've got in the show, but because I know he's doing a comedy festival show, which is not till like late March,
Yeah,
they don't want him to publicise anything else. So
yeah, that's fair.
I
And,
understand it, but it's also come on, man. Yeah,
and
whatever.
so where is it?
It's at the Comics Lounge, and it's going to be on December 16, 17, and 18. So that's Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yep.
And yeah, look, it's been going for 22 years. We're just trying to keep the tradition going. You know, obviously there's going to be a lot of WOG jokes in it,
Yeah.
but it's not all we talk about.
But you know what? It's good to see, like the Comedy Lounge, for example. It's been fucking
they
going.
support me, man.
It's
They've been
and,
good.
and it's been going on for so long. Like
Well,
that place
the Comics
has been
Lounge is
strong.
21 years old, but during COVID, we nearly lost it.
Really?
Oh yeah, we had to do a GoFundMe to save it. We were out
Wow.
of, we had no money left, brother, and it was fucked. So I was going over, mate.
It's
So-
bad, isn't it?
Well, you know, look, the government weren't forthcoming, mate. They weren't giving us any dough. This was in 2020. That changed in 21.
Yeah.
But oh Jesus, we got
We got some pets coming in, hijacking the episode, Kyle.
Sorry. Get in here.
I do like staffies though. They're pretty cool. Yeah. The best dogs are boxers.
You reckon?
Oh man,
I've got a staffy. I want to fucking throw it in the bin.
Yeah, no, boxers.
I fucking hate that
boxers
dog.
are the best. But yeah, man, like, look, you know, we're keeping the tradition going, but at the same time, look,
Try and spice things up a bit.
well, I mean, ethnic comedy's evolved, mate.
Yeah.
You know, like, don't get me wrong, I'm not going to sit here and no guitar. Oh, there it is.
Right there.
So
is it
do-
actually in tune though?
Yes.
So about like ethnics not being the same. Do you want to quickly
Well,
5 minute?
I mean, we're different, man. We're different now. You got a plectrum?
I will go and get a plectrum
If
for
you
you.
can.
Of course.
Like we've just evolved, man. We're not like, I mean, we're not as we're more integrated, aren't we?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think one of the best things.
Like we're not even an oddity anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
now
saying?
it's commonplace to find a WOG anywhere, especially
And
in
like,
the
you know,
western
I kind of
suburbs.
want to acknowledge that when I'm doing comedy because it's like I'll give you an example of a joke that I throw out there, right? And it's meant to obviously get a laugh, but I hope there's a message is crystal clear. The joke is, I think of myself first and foremost as an Australian because I was born here, even though my mates still call me a WOG to remind me I'm not welcome.
Yeah.
Like, it's just a silly joke, but you know, by declaring myself as an Aussie, I'm basically saying, hey, look, I know I have a certain heritage and I'm not
Yeah.
ashamed of, but end of the day, I'm Australian. And being a WOG's very Australian, I would have thought. So to come across as like just off the boat kind of mentality,
Yeah.
now that's not denigrating anyone else's humour. So before anyone says, oh, you're bagging, no, I'm not bagging anyone because those people that are doing jokes that might be along those lines are still good, man.
Yeah.
Like the Sushi Mango guys are funny as fuck, you know? Like, and you know, I'm not a massive fan of Giannopoulos because I think he hasn't evolved. But at the same time, you know, Sushi, they did great work online and, you know,
they've killed it.
And good on them.
Yeah.
Like, no issue whatsoever. But like I said, you know, from my perspective, though, I want to portray the modern, you know, guy like myself as an ethnic humorist, as someone with a bit more nuance and a bit more intelligence.
Yeah.
So how I do that is take the piss out of the Aussies.
Oh, that's exactly right.
And
That's
I
the
think
only way you can
everybody,
do
I
it.
think the WOGs enjoy that because they can relate to it.
Well, I actually was married to an Aussie first up.
Okay.
So
What's the missus now?
Italian. She's
Oh,
Calabrese.
beautiful.
As well. But
Um,
the first wife, right? I got a bit about how when we broke up. It's based on a true story, but the punchline I added. But it was when my mum rings me up when she found out we were broken up, right? She goes, what are you going to do now, Fidel Mio? You know, she's all crying on the phone.
Come and live
Stressed.
with me.
And I'm like, Mum, I'm just going to get on with my life, you know. And she goes, I was to think maybe you should have come back and live with me and your father, she says. And I'm like, Mum, I'm 32 years old. And for what it's worth, I kept that house. Like the house we had together, she She just handed it over to me. We owed a lot on it, so if we had it sold, it wouldn't have been much money for her. And I said, Mum, I've got the house. I've got a place to stay. I'm fine. I'm 32 years old. She goes, yes, but you're all by yourself. You got nobody to look after you.
You're fucking lonely.
Now, when I thought of that story, I thought the best punchline just came to me, man. I just said, Mum, been married to an Aussie for 4 years. No one looked after me the whole fucking time.
Spot on. Spot on.
Now, you know, don't get me wrong. There are a lot of good Aussie women out there, and I know that
until 25.
No, but seriously, there are, man. I mean, you know, it's a generalisation, and that's what people sometimes get offended with comedy. Oh, you're generalising. I say to them, of course I'm fucking generalising. What else do you think I'm doing? But I'm also making a joke about what people's perceptions are, even if it's from an old school fraternity of old Italians who think all Aussies are lazy. Now, don't get me wrong, like, you Aussies know perfectly well that you're fucking laid back, you're chilled, you're relaxed, and you're not as passionate as us Italians. We're passionate beyond crazy, to be honest.
Yeah.
Whereas you guys are like, yeah, whatever, right? So I'm just playing up on that. Do you understand? I'm just playing on that. So when people get offended with that shit, I'm like, go fuck yourselves. Because in all honesty, I'm not saying anything about an individual. I'm just making a broad sweeping statement. It's not even true about my ex-wife. She was a cool chick. Just didn't work out. You know what I mean? But that's not fucking funny, is it?
No, you don't get a laugh out of that.
So what do you want to hear me play, mate?
What have you got? What's your favourite?
Let's see if this is in tune.
I promise you it is.
Well, borderline. Borderline. The bottom string.
I was going to say, normally it's the G.
The E string.
Oh, the G string.
Normally it's the G.
Gee, that tightened up real easy. Jesus. I have to go the other way, I think.
That's a bit of a weird backing, that one.
Tell me about it.
That's off Richie Sambora. We tried to copy a Richie Sambora guitar.
What do you mean, you're tuning or?
Nah, just the shape of it and the body.
Oh, it's nice.
The look of it, yeah.
I like it.
When I was younger, quick story behind that one. I was about 2 years old. I went in the studio and I wanted to play around with it. I dropped it and broke the neck.
Not bad.
My
I think,
man wanted to kill me.
we're right now.
Done.
Go on, what were you saying?
When I was about 2 years old, I went in the studio. I was just curious about guitars, yeah. Went and picked up the guitar and I dropped it. And I broke the neck on it. It was my old man. That's my old man's first guitar he ever bought. He wanted to kill me.
Oh, well, I've gone through a few guitars. I've got a maintenance in at home that needs $400 worth of repairs on it. The neck's come away, so yeah, I've got to get it sorted. But fuck.
If you need good service, guys, let me know, because Dad knows guys around here. Yeah. Shoot.
All right, so I might be 51 years old, right?
But you still got it, I reckon.
Well, I'm still in touch with the modern.
Still a chicho.
So I'm going to do a Justin Bieber song.
Yeah.
Hey.
Ooh.
But this is the WOG version.
Oh, beautiful.
So this is sort of brings me back to my childhood.
Let's do it.
When I used to get home from school and see what Mum was cooking. So this is how it goes. I remember when I come home from school, my mum was in the kitchen making pasta fazool. And I says to my mum, what would it take if maybe one day you would make me a steak? But my mama didn't like to cook Aussie food, and when you asked for it, she'd get in a bad mood. She says, if you don't like my cooking, well, you better stop your sooking, 'cause I know you'll never make it on your own if you don't like the way I cook that much. Well, maybe you should learn to cook yourself. And if you think that I'm a slave to you and Daddy, well, you two can go fuck yourself. And I'll finish with this one. So you know the song Royals, yeah?
Yeah.
So this is a version of Royals about the difference between Aussie cooking and Italian cooking. Because you know when Aussies cook, right, they can cook. I mean, I love Aussie food like steak and veg and roast. Yeah. But, you know, they don't use fancy shit in their food like fucking salt. So, so it goes like this. It goes, you know, I never had steak and veg till I had dinner with my Aussie friends at their house. And they use lots and lots of Heinz Big Red. And then they made me a salad, but it had no dressing. Because when the Aussies cook, they just get meat, chuck it in a fry pan, cook it on one side, then they flip it over, they don't care. No spices to give it flair. In the salad they cut up lettuce, chuck in a tomato. If you're lucky, maybe you'll get mayo, they don't care. But us Italians, as you're aware, we use garlic and oil to give our food some taste. Then we use tomato paste and hot chili for a buzz, and then we say fanculo. That's Italian for up your ass, so va fanculo to your whole damn family. Because that's how we roll, yeah?
That was fucking good.
Have you noticed that? If an Italian hates you, even if he hasn't met him, he hates your rellos as well. Has you noticed that?
Oh yeah,
That-
fuck all of yous.
That was the best.
Am I right?
Yeah, spot on.
And like,
spot on.
by the way, just to finish with, because I like to educate people that are listening. I know all Aussies out there, non-Italians, think they know what vaffanculo means, right? But they actually don't, because I know everyone thinks it's like get fucked, and it kind of has that same connotation. But I'm going to tell you exactly what it means, right? I'll break it down. Va means go, fa means to do, and in culo means in your ass. So next time an Italian says to you vaffanculo, he's saying go do it in your ass. So you just say, you go do it in your ass, you fucking weirdo, right? Because we have fucked up insults. It's Italians, like when we call someone a dickhead, it's a testa di cazzo, which literally translated is head of dick. So imagine if we did that. Like, you know, don't
Fucking
go to
head of
fucking
dick.
Jono's house, he's a head of dick. So it's not the same, is it?
But it just works in Italian.
Oh, testa
It
di
just
cazzo
works.
is beautiful.
And it rolls off the
Education
tongue.
with the
Perf.
European
Just
mindset,
saying,
Gabriel
like,
Rossi.
vaffanculo, it means go do it in your ass. Or stick it up your ass if you want to be technical.
There we go. We learned something.
So there you go, guys.
Episode 2.
So Waggy Christmas. Yeah, I'd love you to come down. It's 3 shows in December, and yeah, keep the tradition going. 22nd year. We've had a couple of rough years because of COVID before that. So we did little versions of it last year. We only did one night. I think one night in 2020 as well. But yeah, it wasn't the same. But hopefully we're back to normal this year. We'll see what happens.
Back in full swing.
Thank you for being on.
Thanks, man.
Are you a wine or a Scotch drinker?
I don't drink any alcohol.
You don't drink any.
I'm Pepsi Max.
What about your missus?
She whines a lot.
We've got a
No,
nice.
she's I think she likes her wine.
Yeah.
We've got a nice bottle of Shiraz.
Oh, mate, she'd love that. Oh, thank you. Sorry, well then I didn't
That's
realise
just a-
where that was going.
No,
So-
that's
That's
all
okay.
good.
That's okay. That's just a thank you. Yeah.
In terms of the Scotch, this is definitely the winner.
Yeah,
I'm
her-
sorry, guys. I didn't
your-
know.
No, don't stress.
Hey,
That's
listen. At
just
the end
a
of the
thank you.
day, your loss is her gain, obviously.
Well, no, she likes it. She likes a Shiraz, I reckon. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, of the Reds. Yeah, I think so. And yeah.
Thank you so much.
That's all right, my pleasure, man.
I don't think you understand how much this means to us. We really appreciate
Well,
your
the
time.
fact of the matter is, I put a mic in front of me and tell me to talk. I'll be there.
Oh, hey, and if you're happy, we'd love to have you back on because I feel like we can go on for another
Oh yeah,
2
no, I've got
years.
heaps more shit to talk about.
I think, yeah.
Beautiful.
But it might get into the conspiracy.
That's
Hey,
all right.
that's kind of why I want to do an episode like that. George, I finally found someone that.
But
you
can
know,
I say something on that though?
Please,
And
please
this is
do.
something I want you to think about for
Please
all the
do.
other people out there that are like-minded. I've been very deep.
Mm-hmm.
I've also come out because there was bullshit in there too.
Yep.
I think you and I, if we're of a similar mindset, and I don't know how far you are, mate.
Oh no, he's pretty fucking.
I think I'm a
far.
bit too far.
Well, what I'm going to say to you is this, right? If you're trying to wake people up, because that's our fight, isn't it?
Yep.
Trying to- all the sleepers out there,
Yep.
they've got no idea what's going on. I'm not saying that everything's going to fucking come to a head. I don't know exactly what's going on, but I've got a bit of an idea, and I think you might too.
Yeah.
You can't win them over, mate. You got to give them language they get, bro.
Yeah.
So just to give you an example, right? When the vaccines were sort of up for discussion, I did some research and I found that, okay, possibly, and I could be wrong here, but possibly one out of those 3 vaccines might not be as bad as the other 2. So I'm just saying, like, in other words, I wasn't closing my mind completely and saying, never get it, never get it.
Yeah.
I was saying to people, listen, if it was me and you had to get it, that's the one I'd get. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you got more chance of getting them on board by being a little bit more ambivalent. Because if you're sitting there going, don't get any of them, mate, shutters go up. Mate.
Yeah, look, I was like that, and I was a very, like, my way or the highway, but now, if I'm honest with you, Gabriel, I don't even fight it. It's just my opinion. I like to be
mate.
I like to be knowledgeable about it. I
But if you
will have a
wanna-
conversation
okay, well,
with
let me
people
put
that are
it to you
willing.
let me put it to you another way. There's a lot of friends I've lost that I don't give a fuck about.
Yeah, yeah.
Right, but there's a few that, not that I have lost, that I could lose, and that's how I keep them.
Yeah,
By just, keeping it a bit nicer.
correct.
That
Yeah.
makes
So
sense.
watch your fucking tone, Kyle.
That's
yeah?
why.
Do you want to have? I'll leave you with this though.
Please do.
So you would have seen a fair bit of my content during that.
Yeah,
time,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And it was pretty full on some of it, even though it was all comical. There was still some messages in there that were quite strong. Yeah.
Yeah.
I did a show the other night at Comics Lounge, and a couple came up to me. Now I've got this great little bit where I talk about how for 2 years during the pandemic I built up this massive fan base
Mm-hmm.
of people that probably are, anti-vax
Mm-hmm.
because of my views online.
My auntie loves you because of that.
Well, she's
Also,
only
she
human. But
fucking
anyway.
loves you.
Anyway, but the thing is, this is what happened, and this is the interesting juxtaposition, the position I find myself in with fans. When they see me on stage, now I know in the room there's 60-70% of people in there that are borderline pro-vax.
Yeah.
Right? So if I got up there and made jokes about the vaccines, they'd be like, this guy's an arsehole.
Mm.
I'm going to walk out.
Yeah.
So I can't go there, right? So because I was a bit soft on that, and this one particular joke I did where I talk about how, and I think it's funny when I say this, I spent 18 months creating a fan base of 120,000 people who, once we opened up again, were not allowed to come to my shows. So I wasted my fucking time. That's
There
the
you go.
joke, right?
Yeah.
Right? So she heard me do that joke. She actually questioned me, she goes, are you a truther? Are you one? I said, because I've watched you for 2 years and you've, she goes, what I saw tonight, and I just looked at her and I said, oh my God. I said, don't you get it? They're not fucking ready yet.
Yeah.
Give me time, love.
Mm.
I said, I can't slam them between the eyes. I cannot slam them in the face with this shit.
It just
They're not up for it.
It wouldn't work anyway for you either.
I said to her, maybe in a year, maybe 2, maybe never.
Yeah.
I said, but right now, fuck no.
No.
I said, they're going to walk out though.
They'll either walk out on you or they'll all jump in and they'll start just hammering.
I said, do you understand what I'm trying to do? I'm playing both sides here, Dave. I said, leave it with me. I said, but Jesus, right? So what that basically tells me is that I've got all these fans, but they're also ready to fucking turn on me if I even slightly favour the other side.
Fucking
it's really
hard
difficult,
situation,
man.
sticky
I'm
situation.
okay. I'm okay with it because, like I said, I love the challenge. I like, you know what? I'm so focused on what I'm doing in a way that I had the opportunity to speak to these people. Maybe there are others that have walked out and gone, he's cooked. He's gone. He's one of them now.
Yeah.
But look, at the end of the day, I mean, I've got to feed my family too. Man.
That's it, man. Exactly right.
But I do have my beliefs, and I'm still firm with a lot of them. I wrote this great bit. How good's this routine? You know that this routine is perfect, but I can't do it. But you know what? I'm going to do it on your podcast.
Oh, beautiful.
This routine I wrote, and I know that it is a beautiful routine because it's everything about comedy is in this routine. Okay, my favourite people on the planet right now are these ones. You see them online, yeah? They all make a video or they'll just put it as a tweet or in their status. But this is what it says. I just got COVID for the 3rd time. And I've had 4 boosters and I'm so grateful. Like, all I'm saying is, how fucking stupid do you have to be to think that after 4 shots, getting it a 3rd time, that you've fucking done well, right? It'd be like me had sex with my wife the other day and I had 4 condoms on and she got pregnant. Imagine how fucking pregnant she would have got without the 4 condoms. So I know that routine would kill in the right audience.
Yeah, 100%.
But I also know that if I did that on stage, they'd be like... There are I've seen a couple of American comedians go there and have varying levels of success, and some kill with really hardcore material. But mate, when I went to the protests last year, right?
Yep.
The reason I started protesting was that pandemic bill. That was the fucking dizzy limits for me.
Yeah, I
right?
was the same, yep.
Right, so I get there. Literally went out of my car, walked 150 metres. Guy comes up to me, can I get a photo, mate? Love your TikToks. Oh, okay, mate, no worries. Thought that was a bit random.
Yep.
No, there were 6 people lining up.
That's awesome.
Everyone's...
It was a fucking meet and greet. Did you charge them?
I'll be honest with you, man. I was in shock, and I'll tell you why. Because my account had already been taken down by this stage.
Yeah.
So my major account.
Yeah.
So I'd already lost that big account, and I felt like I was shadow banned, and I thought, fuck, these people have forgotten me by now.
Yeah.
Anyway, all day, mate. All day I was getting... And, like, if there's anyone watching this that doesn't know what I've been up to for the last 2 years, I've just been making comedy, taking the piss out of it. Every time they introduce new rules... Mate, I'll call them out for what they are, mate.
And it's so
They're
funny.
fucking absurd, okay?
Yeah.
Like, 2 guys talking, this is one of my videos, 2 guys talking about going to the pub. So you're allowed to go to the pub now? Yep, you can go to the pub. Oh, awesome. Do you have to wear a mask? Yeah, you do have to wear a mask. What, the whole time? No, only when you're standing up. So what? When you sit down, you can take it off? Yeah. Why is that? Oh, I don't know, maybe because COVID can't go below 4 feet. Look, I'm just taking the piss, right? So that's all my videos. And people were reporting me, fucking shutting me down. I had 3 accounts blown away. So all through that day, I'm walking around talking to people and they're coming up to me saying, oh, we love your TikToks. It's great that we can laugh about something that really upsets us, very dark period of time here. He goes, but, I said to all of them, I go, but but this account's gone now. Oh, we haven't forgotten. And I'm scratching my head thinking to myself, why is this happening? Because I didn't expect it to be like that. Not because I'm being humble. I just, like, even 120,000 followers is big, but it's not fucking mega, though. You know what I mean?
Still,
it's not millions,
Yeah, it's
right?
still a push, though.
But anyway, I was out there, and then someone fucking said something to me, and then it all fucking clicked straight away.
Mm-hmm.
He goes, the reason why this is happening to you today is because you're the only one that did it. And he's fucking right. No other entertainer, actor, celebrity, whatever, was taking the piss like I was.
You're right.
Did he
I was the
ruin your
only
day?
one. No, it was the best thing to hear because
Really?
it made sense to me. Like, it wasn't a put down. He said,
Yeah.
everyone remembers you, everyone noticed it because no one else was doing
You're
what
right,
you were doing.
you're
You're
right.
the only one.
Yeah.
You're the
And
activist. You're the Jesus of
Well,
COVID.
I mean, not the Jesus. I mean, come on, settle down, mate. But I mean, like I didn't. But I never woke up each day and thought, oh, fucking, you know. I just said, I'd watch the fucking cunt doing a press conference, right? And that's what he is,
He's
right?
fucking-
I'd watch him doing a press conference. I'd see his complete lack of compassion when he's telling, you know, a fucking state of 6 million people that they weren't allowed to leave their fucking house, right? And, you know, I would see the rules coming into play and, like, just contradiction after contradiction, lie after lie, bullshit after bullshit. I couldn't fucking let it go.
Yeah, yeah.
And not only that, mate, it was like so easy. I didn't even have to think about what to fucking make in a video.
And that's always the best type of content.
Material was fucking coming out of my ass. I didn't know where to stop. mate.
Always the best,
So
yeah.
I just kept going. See, but back in the day, I was making 3-4 videos a day. Now you're lucky to see 4 or 5 videos a week because I
Yeah.
know what'll happen if I do it. Bang again. I'll be shut down again.
Exactly right. But that's what I like about you, though. You got your account shut down and you didn't stop.
No, I didn't stop.
You just kept fucking going.
I kept going, but at the same time, it's obviously at a reduced rate. But
Of
enough,
course.
hopefully enough to keep people
Any rate's a good
in
rate.
the loop.
Any rate's a
I
good
know,
rate.
but it's
You're turning a
I'm not
fucking
going to lie,
frown
though.
into a
I'm
smile.
not going to lie. It's probably hurt me from a business point of view, like in terms of getting work. I reckon it's hurt, but I don't care.
But all those guys that have got to kick back towards it, that would have affected
Well,
everybody.
I mean, look, the reality is that I hope that moving forward, that these people who have been in the background supporting me and on board with what I'm doing, when we get our day, then they can all come out and
Yeah.
hopefully.
Yeah.
But like I said, if I had had that original account, mate, I could have probably put on a show that would have sold every fucking ticket like that. you know?
Laughing. Yeah.
Unfortunately, I'm not in that situation. I have to go back to the old fucking, you know.
I know how you
drawing
feel, man.
board.
I
So
know
it's
how you
very,
fucking
very
feel.
frustrating. But anyway, we just done a whole nother podcast, didn't we?
We did, yeah.
Anyway, thanks very much, guys. I've got to go
Episode
now.
two.
Thank you so much.
It's been fun.
Take it easy.
That's us.
All right.